Hey everyone, it's Carissa Wiley here for Concord and Ninth. Thanks for joining me today. I'm super excited to be teaming up with my friend Megan Andrew to bring you a look at the brand new September 2025 release from Concord and Ninth. Without further ado, let's get into it. Come along with me as I show you the brand new Season's Greetings stamps and dies along with the brand new Merry Mix stencil pack from Concord and Ninth. These are brand new from the September 2025 release and they are so much fun because they work so well together. There are actually 3 products here, a sentiment set with its coordinating die set as well as a stencil pack. This is the Season's Greetings stamp set, and I absolutely love this because these are big, bold, stamped sentiments that you can use on a variety of styles of card projects. I love the whimsical Merry and Bright and Fa La, and I love the more sophisticated It's the Most Wonderful Time of the Year and Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas, as well as that Season's Greetings and Sending Holiday Cheer. So whatever style of card you're making, you're sure to find a great sentiment here. Now, the coordinating Season's Greetings die set has a die to cut out all of these sentiments, as well as some greenery and berries. And these 2 dies here, they confused me at first, but those are to cut the Fa and the La. Now let's look at the Merry Mix stencil pack. This is a 6-pack of stencils that creates 4 different designs for the holidays. You can see them all on the back of the packaging and get some color inspiration there. 2 of these are 2-piece stencil designs. So the plaid is a 2-piece stencil set that works together to create that plaid pattern. This is this beautiful Nordic-inspired kind of sweater pattern. There is also a nice snowflake pattern and a 2-piece set that has greenery as well as berries. But keep in mind that berry stencil can be used on its own to create a snow or confetti pattern as well. So mix and match these as you like. Now I've stenciled out each of these designs so that you can see them up close and personal. Here is a look at that plaid pattern that is stenciled with eucalyptus and pimento colored inks. Next up is that greenery pattern, and I absolutely love the playful nature of this. I stenciled that with pistachio and pimento. Here's a look at that snowflake pattern. I used sea glass and a little bit of harbor for that. And finally, for this kind of Nordic sweater inspired pattern, I masked off various lines and created a pattern with several colors. And I love the way that these are both whimsical and sophisticated depending on the colors that you use. So here's a look at the die set. Now the die set includes a rectangle piece that will cut those large rectangle sentiments, as well as a scallop piece that also die cuts those sentiments or can be used as a layer. I love that these sentiments include various shapes and feelings. I love this Merry and Bright as well as the Holly Jolly. And here's a look at the various little elements that are created with the smaller dies in the set. Now that Fa La can be used to create a Fa La 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 La. That's a lot of stamping, but it would be so much fun. So here is a look at my first card. I used that plaid pattern from the Merry Mix stencil pack to create my background. I heat embossed the Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas sentiment onto vellum with some gold embossing powder, and then I cut a scalloped layer from some Nectar cardstock. You can see I've incorporated some gold throughout my card design. And for the background pattern, I used rainforest, pimento, and nectar. This is all mounted on a poppy card base to give it a really fun and festive look, and finished off with some gold enamel dots from Concord and Ninth. My second card features that Merry and Bright sentiment. I did a little ombre stamping for that, and I stacked it up with a couple of colorful layers behind it. That's nectar and pimento. I also used some champagne cardstock to bring some shine, and my stenciled pattern is created using eucalyptus, rainforest, nectar, and pimento. I love the kind of mix of whimsical and sophisticated that this card brings. The Season's Greetings stamps, coordinating dies, and the Merry Mix stencil pack make for some fun and easy cards that could easily be mass produced for the holidays. I love that these sentiments are large and in charge and can take center stage on any card. Don't forget to share all of the cards that you create and tag Concord and Ninth. We can't wait to see what you make with these fabulous new products. If you love to stamp for the holidays, the new triple step Evergreen stamps and coordinating dies are perfect for all your holiday card making needs. Let's have a look at these brand new products together. So you're looking at the triple step Evergreen stamp set there on the left, as well as the coordinating dies, and these work together to create the most beautiful and simple stamped cards. I love the kind of watercolor effect that you get with this stamp set. So this is a triple step stamp set, which means those 3 stamps combine together to make the most beautiful evergreen tree. There's also some fabulous sentiments throughout the set that include peace on earth, love, holiday greetings to you and yours, Merry Christmas, joy, and hope. There's also a little snow stamp here, which is great for creating backgrounds. The die set includes the large tree die, which will die cut the stamped tree. There's also some ornaments, a large bow, a couple of star or tree topper options. I love the banner, and finally, this scripty joy sentiment. Here's a look at all of those pieces die cut out. You can see the ornaments here, as well as the star options. You have a general kind of regular star, and then you have this more pointy star, which layers up nicely to create a really fun tree topper for your trees. I also love that long bow. Bows are so in, and that joy sentiment is so much fun to die cut from various colors. The banner coordinates with some of the sentiments in the stamp set. And before we move on, I really wanted to show you how to stamp this tree. Now, I like to keep the negative portion from die cutting a tree to help me position this in my stamping tool. I prefer to die cut the tree first and then stamp on the die cut because that makes sure that all of my boughs are perfectly positioned. I will start with the one that has the small peak at the top of the stamp set, and that will be my first layer. I'm going to line it up with the top of the die cut and also look at those lower corners to make sure the boughs are falling in line with the die cut. I'm stamping on some pistachio cardstock here, and I'm going to ink up this first layer in pistachio ink. I'm going to stamp that onto my die cut, and keep in mind, if you are mass producing, you could switch out your die cut here and keep stamping with this single layer before moving on to the next. For the second layer, I am making sure that those upper boughs align with the boughs on the right side, and that lower left-hand corner is falling into line with all of those die cut elements there. I will then pick this stamp up with my Misty stamping tool, ink it up with some artichoke ink, and stamp it onto the die cut. Now, as I mentioned, I prefer to die cut first and then stamp because all of my boughs are perfectly positioned. But you can also use this triple step stamp set directly onto your card front or your card base. Layer number 3, you'll see where all of this just falls into line with the die cut. I'm inking it up with Rainforest ink and stamping it onto my die cut. And just like that, I have the most beautiful and full looking stamped tree. Now here's a look at some cards I created with this set. This tree was stamped onto pistachio cardstock using pistachio, eucalyptus, and artichoke inks. I also used a Versamark pen to add some concentrated areas of white embossing powder to create a faux snow effect. I die cut the joy sentiment from some champagne cardstock as well as some black cardstock, and I offset those on the front of the tree. I topped off my tree with a black bow, added some chunky glitter at the bottom, and stamped the sea glass panel using the snow stamp included in the stamp set. I absolutely love this card. For the second card, I stamped the tree directly onto my card front, so it's not die cut at all. So if you wanted to create a simple stamped card, you don't have to use the coordinating dies. You can line these up and create a beautiful tree. I die cut the ornaments from some silver glitter cardstock as well as that tree topper, and I stacked up the joy sentiment there to give it a little dimension. For my final card, I stamped the tree using eucalyptus, pistachio, and rainforest inks, and I added some ornaments with some nectar enamel dots. This arch that it's placed on is from the Desertscapes bundle, and I used the quilted card front die from Concord and Ninth to add some texture to my card base, and the bow and banner layers were die cut from some pimento cardstock. This set is my #1 pick for mass producing for the holidays because you can quickly stamp several of these trees and create some beautiful cards, and I can't wait to try a watercolor effect with this as well. I've been having an itch to go back to my stamping roots lately, and this stamp set just fits the bill. It's time for an up-close and personal look at the brand new Joyful Wreath stamps and coordinating dies. These are a festive holiday twist on previous favorites like Primrose Garden and Festive Blooms, but this is in the shape of a wreath. This bundle centers around this large die set that creates a beautiful wreath that you can customize any way that you want. You can see there are several dies included in this, including the large wreath, which can be used to create a stitching map to help you place the individual foliage elements. There's also some berries, a sentiment, and a stitched detail piece that fits perfectly on an A2 size card front. The stitching portion of the wreath can be used on its own to die cut into a card front, or you can use it with the coordinating shadow die and inner die. The Joyful Wreath stamp set includes several sentiments that are perfectly sized for the banner that's included in the die set, and there's also some smaller dies that will fit perfectly on the inside of the wreath. So let's have a quick look at all of the die cuts as they are die cut from various colors of cardstock. When you use all three of the wreath dies together, the outer, the inner, and the stitching portion, you are left with this wreath that stands alone. You have that gorgeous stitching, which can guide you in adding the individual elements, or it can be used just like this. Now, all of the greenery pieces cut out in multiples, making it easy to kind of fill in this wreath. I also love the banner as well as the fa la la sentiment. The bow stacks up to create some dimension, and you can choose from a couple of different tails for your bow. This little knot can be a little bit tricky, but if you use a dual-tipped embellishment tool or something like tweezers to help you get it in place, it makes it a lot easier. Now, there are 2 layers for the berries. Those individual layers can be used on their own, or you can stack them up to create some shadow and dimension. Here is a look at the 3 dies to create the wreath. You have the stitching portion, which just creates a stitched element. There are no cut lines on this die that will trim this out. There's also an outer layer, which will cut out the outer portion of the wreath, and an inner portion, so you can determine how you want to use all of these dies together. Concord and Ninth has included an etched line on the back of these wreath dies that help you line them up. And I absolutely love this addition because all you have to do is flip these over to the back and make sure those etched lines line up, and you know that all of your shadow and inlay dies are in the perfect position for creating a fabulous wreath. Once my dies are lined up, I like to hold them in place with some craft tape, and then I can position them on my cardstock, run it through my die cut machine, and that gives me a perfectly lined up wreath image. Now, this could be used as a shaker card or even on its own. I also wanted to show you what this stitched wreath looks like if you die cut it directly onto your card front. I've also used those little stitched details at the top and bottom of this A2 size card front, and I love how all the stitching ties together. The stitching on this wreath creates the perfect map for adding these individual greenery pieces. They do die cut in multiples, so it's easy to create several of these at once in 1, 2, or 3 colors to give your wreath some color and dimension. I like to add some liquid glue just towards the base of these greenery pieces. That allows me to go back and kind of fluff these up later and also tuck other pieces underneath. I like to start with kind of those 3-pronged larger greenery pieces and kind of make my way around the wreath. As I do, I'm looking for the pieces that line up with that larger leaf that kind of sticks out in the middle, and you'll find that in the stitching, and then your outer leaves will kind of line up with the outer cut line of this wreath. Now, once you've put one of these together, it's very easy, and you find that it's very forgiving. So even if you don't put these in the exact right spot, your wreath fills out beautifully. Once I've gone around one time with a set of those larger leaves, I like to come in with the smaller two-pronged leaves. Again, just using some liquid glue towards the base of those leaves so I can go back and fluff them up later. And I like to pick up that large leaf of the three-pronged leaf that's already placed and kind of slide and tuck that two-pronged leaf underneath. This is going to give it a really nice finished feel as you go around your wreath. Now you can die cut as many of these greenery elements as you want, and you can die cut them in various colors as well. It all depends on your personal preference. If you die cut each of the larger and the smaller greenery pieces once and make your way around the wreath, this is kind of what you're left with. I wanted to fill in this wreath a little bit more, so I die cut some more of the smaller and larger pieces and just went through and added them in where they lined up with the stitching lines. As you fill in this wreath, it kind of gets a little bit harder to see the stitched lines beneath, but you can use the outer edge of the wreath as well to kind of guide you in where you're placing your smaller pieces. Now, as it fills in, it's also kind of hard to see the berry pieces, but you can either refer back to your die or you can kind of just slip them in. There are several of the berry outlines that I can see, so I'm adding liquid glue to those. These berries are stacked up with 2 layers, but I also like to use them on their own depending on the speed at which I want to work for my card project. Again, you can refer back to the die or to one of the stitched pieces that you've die cut to kind of guide you in your berry placement. Now here's a look at a wreath that I created with 3 different colors of cardstock as well as some vellum. So I have rainforest, eucalyptus, sea glass, and some vellum. And you can see I can fluff up this wreath because I've only put the liquid glue at the base of each of these greenery pieces. This gives my wreath a lot of dimension and a lot of color. I die cut the bow from poppy cardstock and adhered it kind of off to the side of my wreath. And you can see I have my sentiment there die cut from pimento cardstock and slightly offset with a white layer behind it. I also use the wood slats embossing folder to give my card front some texture, and that card front is created from some pistachio cardstock. Now for my second card, I just used the stitched portion of the wreath and filled in the berries. I have my berries die cut from nectar, poppy, and pimento. I've created a little grouping of the greenery with the bow here on this right side. And for the card front, I used that stitched detail piece on both the top and bottom and added some rainforest enamel dots to give it a little bit more texture and shine. I stamped the happiest of holidays sentiments in rainforest ink onto white cardstock and die cut it using the coordinating banner die and offset it with some rainforest cardstock. So there you have it, an up-close and personal look at the brand new Joyful Wreaths dies and coordinating stamp set. I think whether you use this on its own with a very simple card project like the one on the right, or if you do it up to the nines with lots of dimension and texture, you're going to have a great time creating with this beautiful new bundle from Concord and Ninth. It is my absolute pleasure to introduce you to the brand new Christmas crackers, stamps, and coordinating dies from Concord and Ninth. This bundle has a decidedly festive feel and many ways that you can customize your Christmas crackers. Now in this bundle, there are some Christmas cracker dies available, as well as the Christmas crackers coordinating stamp set. Here's a look at that die set. You can see there are 3 cracker shapes that are available, as well as this large hooray sentiment. Some confetti and trimming pieces are included as well to help dress up all of these fun little crackers. Now the stamp set is a smaller stamp set, but it packs a lot of punch, including some trimming pieces that you can stamp directly onto your crackers and several sentiments that can be stamped directly onto the crackers. They're the perfect size, and I love that there's a little heart included as well. Now here's a look at all of the die cuts, die cut from various colors of cardstock. You can see you have your 3 shapes there, as well as this large hooray sentiment. There's a lot of confetti and trimming pieces and a cheers sentiment as well. Now this cheers sentiment can be used to create a knockout effect on one of the crackers, or you can use the individual letters however you choose. Now, the various confetti pieces that are included in the die set can be used to decorate the crackers or can be used as confetti coming out from the crackers. I use that little zigzag shape there to die cut one of the crackers to kind of crack it open, but it also makes a cute little rickrack piece on top of the crackers as well. There are so many ways to mix and match the stamps and dies. So here's a look at a card that I created. I die cut 3 of the crackers and I stamped several little detail pieces as well as a sentiment on that center one. And I also die cut the bows from some champagne cardstock and placed those on the ends of my crackers. I also used the little delicate holly leaves and berries, and I scattered some of the confetti in the background as well. That's die cut from some champagne cardstock. I die cut the background panel using the Snowfall card front die from Concord and Ninth to give it some texture. Now for card number 2, I use that large hooray sentiment, and I have my cracker kind of cracked open here, another one there on the bottom. And for the confetti, I used a mix of the stars and some enamel dots in pimento as well as nectar. And I added some chunky glitter cardstock around the edge for some shine. And I used the Sunburst card front panel from Concord and Ninth for a little bit of texture on this card and to give it a really celebratory feel. Whether you're using the dies on their own or you're combining it with the coordinating stamp set, it is so much fun to customize these Christmas crackers. I can't wait to see all the fabulous, fun, and festive card projects you create with this new Christmas crackers bundle. I am so thrilled to introduce you to the brand new Yuletide Lane stamps and coordinating dies. This die set is so much fun, and I know you're going to love creating with it because you can customize it in so many ways. Now, this is a look at both of the products available for this bundle. It includes a large die set that centers around a little house. Now, this house is not just any house. It's created with a little tab on the side and all of the accessories that you need to dress it up for the holidays. There's various door shapes as well as greenery, wreaths, trees, a couple of banners, some snowflakes, and some snowbanks, of course. And you can mix and match all of these dies to create customized little homes for the holidays. These homes then connect to create a perfect row of houses like you've never seen before. Now, in addition, the new Yuletide Lane stamp set is available, and I love this because there's several textures included in the stamp set to add some details to your home. There's also stamps for the doors, a little snow background, and some bricks to add some texture to your houses, as well as a couple of sentiments. Now, as you die cut your houses, you're going to notice that it creates a score line and a tab on the right-hand side. This is so you can create your row of houses that are all connected together. And here's a look at all of the die cuts that are included in this set. There are 2 window shapes, a circle window shape as well as a rectangle window shape. You also have a couple of options for your doors. You have a rectangle, which will layer on top of the bigger layer to add a frame. Then you can use the coordinating stamp set to stamp the details on the door. And I absolutely love that these are stamps. The arch door works the exact same way as the rectangle. You have a wreath that you can layer up with the greenery pieces. You also have several snow pieces that will nestle over the tops of the doors and the windows, and a couple of sentiment banner options. For the Merry banner, you're going to die cut the base and add the letters to the shaped portion of that banner so that you know exactly where to position them. The light string works in much the same way. You will die cut your little light string and add your colorful little elements to create light strands for your homes. Now for the little eaves, you'll want to make sure that the point is at the top and the scallop pieces are facing in towards your house. Then you can decorate your house any way that you want. So let's work together to create a whole row of these houses. You'll want to decorate them first and then die cut each of your homes from various colors of cardstock. And you'll want to fold on that score line before assembling the row of houses. It just makes it a little bit easier to fold these in the direction that you need. For the last house, I recommend trimming off that tab on the right-hand side so that you have a clean edge. You can then add your adhesive to the tab, and as I'm assembling these, I like to fold it closed so that I make sure that the house behind the first house is not visible from the front. In other words, I'm making sure that these are all aligned properly as I work throughout. As you attach them, you want to make sure that you're folding your houses in opposite directions. So the first one folds back, the second one folds forward, the third one will fold back, and that will create a perfect little accordion stack of houses. And as you open them up, all of the various designs are revealed. Now, this card that I'm showing you here might just be my favorite from the release. It doesn't look like much in my hand, but wait until you see me open this. I have 5 houses attached together that are all decorated differently using the stamps and dies from the Yuletide Lane bundle. My first house was stamped with the stripes that are included in the stamp set. I also stamped the rainforest and the pimento house with those same stripes. And for my sea glass and pistachio house, I used the brick stamp instead. You'll see various elements from the die set and the stamp set throughout these different houses. I have light strands and wreaths and trees and holly and snow, and it is so festive and so fun. Now, this could be a card or just a decorative element that you set out in your home. I think it is so much fun to customize these in different ways with different colors of cardstock. Now, for my second card, I used the house on its own and just trimmed off the tab. And I created a standard A2 size card. This works out perfectly. You can see I actually stenciled the background with the brand new Merry Mix stencil pack to give it that plaid pattern. And I created this little Noel banner and some holly leaves, which I think is so much fun, with a little accent of gold cardstock there. I have some chunky glitter for all of my snow, and I stamped the background with the snow stamp that's included in the stamp set, and I finished my door off with a little gold enamel dot for a doorknob. You can create a single house on a card or a whole row of the most adorable holiday homes. It's totally up to you, but I think you're going to have a great time decorating these and coming up with all the fun color combinations for the holidays. We can't wait to see what you create with the brand new Yuletide Lane stamps and dies.
Hello there, it's Megan Andrew, and I'm excited to be here with my friend Carissa Wiley to introduce the second half of the Concord and 9th September release, starting with the Accordion Tree Farm stamp set and dies. The Accordion Tree Farm bundle was designed to be used with the accordion card-based dies from the Concord and 9th August release, but it works just as well on a traditional card front. Create a sweet scene using all of the fabulous elements included in the die set and use the stamp to add a seasonal greeting. Let's take a look at all of these amazing dies. First, I'm going to show you the bases, which I have cut from nutmeg cardstock here. The top 2 are the pieces that attach to the accordion sides to create your scene. There is a 3-tree base and then a tree farm base. These pieces have a long edge that you cut from the cardstock, which you cut first using the long strip and the accordion base die so that it has foldable edges that go into your accordion. You can also add single trees here by gluing the tabs to the back side of these bases, and this will just fill out your tree farm. The remainder of the dies give life to this scene. We have treetops that you can cut from green and layer over the brown tree bases. There are also hanging lights and a die to cut all of the light bulbs. I like to cut all of my colorful light bulbs at once and keep them in a tray. We also have a tree that goes on top of the car, which I cut 3 times, once from nutmeg, once from juniper, and then from wheat to cut those ties. Then you have a wreath with a bow, which you can cut twice, once from green, once from red, and then holly leaves and berries, which you would do the same thing, cut twice from green and then from red. There is also a moon for the sky, and a sign which you can stamp a sentiment onto from the Accordion Tree Farm stamp. Last, we have our cute little car, which I cut from Poppy, and the car accessories, which include dies for the bumpers, headlight, and tires. The Accordion Tree Farm stamp is a small one that adds sentiments to the sign on the tree farm or on your card front. You have Christmas trees, Christmas greetings, happy holidays, warmest wishes, 'tis the season, and my favorite, it's beginning to look a lot like Christmas. Now let's go through the process of creating an accordion card tree farm scene using the accordion card base dies. First, I prepped my accordion card base. I cut the base piece twice, once from Pebble and once from Midnight because I wanted that midnight sky on the background of my scene. I cut the front piece from Pebble and 2 of the accordion sides, folding them on their embossed lines with a bone folder. My back panel is face up, and with the accordion pieces folds on the outside, I'm going to adhere it to the edge of the back panel using 1/4 inch strong tape adhesive. I find that this works best for making sure the card stays together. I'm only going to pull off one side of the adhesive for now and adhere those folds right to the edge of my cardstock, being sure that everything is nice and even. I'm going to repeat this process on the opposite side, being sure that my folds are facing outside and that I'm getting those folds right up against the edge of my cardstock. Now that our base is ready, we are ready to start setting our scene. I like to pre-plan when creating an accordion card, and here you can see that I have everything die cut. I used the 2 tree farm bases cut from nutmeg cardstock, and then I cut a 3rd plain accordion base. I did glue a few extra trees to the back side of the rear strip to fill it out. While creating these bases, I like to hold them up against each other to see how they will stack inside the card, being sure the elements are offset and not covered by other elements. The middle base piece includes the tree farm fence, and the front piece, the car and the sign, which I stamped the Happy Holidays sentiment onto. Once I'm happy with the way everything stacks up, then I can start to put it into the accordion folds. I added 1/4 inch strong tape adhesive to all of the tabs on either end of my strips. I removed the tape backing on both sides, and then with those tabs folded, I placed the back tree strip at the first set of accordion folds, giving it a tiny bit of lift from the background. I'm going to repeat that process again with the center panel, placing the tree farm layer 2 accordion folds away from the tree strip, keeping them at the same height. If you notice that your panel is not laying flat when you push your accordion folds down, check to make sure that the tabs of your strip go all of the way to the corner of your accordion fold. And you can see here that I'm fixing that issue just by pulling that tab back up and refolding it all of the way to the corner. I'm going to repeat that process once more with my 3rd and final strip, lining it up at the same height as the other 2. When I push the accordion folds down, everything is nice and flat, and this is what allows us to get it into an envelope easily for mailing. Next, I'm going to work on that sky. I am placing my lights at the top, gluing them in place, and crisscrossing 2 light strands in front of each other. I opted for colorful lights for this scene. This is something I recommend doing before adding too much to the top of your scene. I'm placing my front piece on top of the folds for just a second so that I can be sure my moon will be seen in the oval opening before I glue it down. To finish off the scene, I'm adding a few of the smallest honeycomb enamel dots to the sky as stars. Once my scene is complete, I will take the tape backers off of my accordion folds one at a time and carefully adhere my front piece on, being sure that the sides line up with the accordion folded edge. Now, if you want to stamp a sentiment onto that front panel, be sure that you do so before adhering it down. To dress up the front of my card, I placed a holly berry and leaf grouping in each corner. I really love this card, but what if you want to keep it more simple? You can use the dies to create a standard card as well. On this A2 card, I used the oval cutout from the accordion base dies to set my nighttime scene, adding a snowy base cut from the new chunky white glitter paper and string lights in the sky. I placed the trees behind the snow layer and the cranberry car in the front. I simply cut off the bottom tab to use it without the accordion. I stamped "It's beginning to look a lot like Christmas" below the oval in Evergreen and finished off the card with a few sea glass enamel dots around the oval. Another cute card and two very lovely ways to use the Accordion Tree Farm bundle. Introducing the Holiday Charm Inlay die. This A2 size die is full of sweet holiday imagery like ribbons, doves, ornaments, bells, candy canes, and greenery, and is perfect for creating multiple cards. It also includes a Deck the Hall sentiment in the center. Choose your favorite holiday color scheme and run the die through your machine using A2 size pieces of those colors. Then puzzle the image back together to mix and match beautiful card fronts. Here I'm showing how I cut the die from sea glass cardstock and place the background onto a folded card base, which I covered with wide tape adhesive. This makes it very quick and easy to fill in with your holiday icons. To keep my die cut pieces together, I cover the back of the cardstock with press and seal before removing it from the die, which keeps all of those die cut pieces together while I'm creating. And a pair of reverse tweezers also makes this process much easier. I like to store all of my cut A2 pieces in a tray for easy access while I'm putting my cards together. I had so much fun creating my cards, and I have so many more panels to put together. Here I started with a traditional color scheme of evergreen, pistachio, juniper, cranberry, ballet slipper, honeycomb, and gold, along with the new chunky white glitter paper for the doves and the star. I love how it shines. My second card features pinks and teals for another holiday color scheme option. This ballet slipper background includes icons in wildberry, briar rose, sea glass, evergreen, white, and gold. Whether you choose a traditional or a whimsical holiday color scheme, the Holiday Charm Inlay die creates beautiful holiday cards that are truly fun to put together. Introducing the Sleigh Full of Cheer Stamp and Die Set. This set creates adorable sleds complete with snowy hill backgrounds and an assortment of presents with all of the trims. Use the coordinating stamp set in this bundle to create a greeting on a package, add it to your card front, and give your gift some interest with patterns. Let's take a closer look at these products. The Sleigh Full of Cheer dies includes two snowy hill backgrounds, one hill and one slope, sized for an A2 card. Then we have our sleds, which cut 3 pieces with each die: the center, the top, and the base. Here I have cut mine twice with gold cardstock, then nutmeg to create a wooden top. There are 3 sizes of presents, large, medium, and small, each with box tops. To adorn the presents, you have ribbons that you can cut to go horizontally or vertically across your presents, and then you have thin ribbons that can be placed at the corner of your boxes. The large tabs fold around the backside to make it easy to adhere them on. There are 3 bows, each with a bow center. Then you have gift tags in a traditional shape and a round tag. There is also a very cute evergreen tree which you can cut twice, once from brown for the base and then green for your tree top. Let's take a closer look at the Sleigh Full of Cheer stamp set with its cute whimsical fonts. I love these longer sentiments like have a lovely season, sending some holiday cheer, and have a very Merry Christmas, and best wishes, which you can put on your card front. There's also smaller words like the, merry, tis, season, and ampersand, bright, joy, love, and peace, and 3 small icons, a heart and 2 snowflakes, to add those words to your packages or tags. There's also 3 different patterns so that you can jazz up your presents a bit. Let's take a look at the 2 cards I created with this bundle. On my first card, I cut the sled from gold and nutmeg. On the top, I added 3 presents in ballet slipper, juniper, and poppy, which I stamped tone on tone with the dots, snowflake, and striped patterns. I dressed up my presents with bows, a tag stamped with a heart, and then added an evergreen tree to the sled. I created the background hill with white cardstock, stamping "Have a lovely holiday season" onto it, then added the slope at the base using the white chunky glitter cardstock, which is just gorgeous. I backed the scene onto an A2 sea glass panel complete with tone-on-tone stamped snowflakes. You can also use this set without the sled to create a beautiful stack of presents. I changed up the colors a bit here by adding pistachio and cranberry, and topped each present with bows and ribbons. On 3 gifts, I stamped "'Tis the Season" using the Sleigh Full of Cheer stamp set, then added those amazing stars, which I cut using the new Christmas Crackers die set. I put all of this against a white arch to give it that wow effect. I know you'll love using the Sleigh Full of Cheer bundle to create beautiful stacked gifts this holiday season. Introducing the Winter Bouquet stamp set and dies that will help you create gorgeous florals on your holiday cards. This bundle includes a stamp and a die set to create a sweet arrangement of poinsettias in or outside of a vase. There are 2 stamped vase designs with 2 large poinsettias, which I love stamping in any pink or red. To give them extra interest, you can also add a darker hue in the center using a blending brush, like I'm showing you here. Fill out your floral arrangement with leaves and berries, which you can stamp directly around the flowers or die cut with their coordinating dies. The stamp set also includes several greetings. Merry Christmas and Season's greetings coordinate with the sentiments on the vase so that you can stamp them in contrasting colors. But you can also add Noel, Happy Holidays, and Joy to You and Yours. This die set includes 9 dies to cut out your stamped vase and florals, and includes the vase die, 2 large leaves, 2 poinsettias, small holly leaves and berries, tiny posy, a branch of berries, and a branch of leaves. You can stamp the entire flower arrangement directly onto a card front to easily create a 1-layer card. This also makes it easy to mass produce for your holiday greetings. Let me show you how to do this. I started with my vase already stamped in cranberry in the center of an A2 card base. With the vase, the floral arrangement will be 4 inches tall, so plan for that on your card front. If you don't want to use the vase, you can also start with the leaves stamp, and I'll show you a card without the vase in just a minute. Line up where the stems of the leaves cut off straight with the straight edge of the vase opening, and then stamp. I'm using Evergreen ink here. Now the stems of your poinsettias will look like they're coming right out of the vase. Your poinsettias will fit directly into those leaves by placing those little arrows on the acrylic stamp upward when you place them onto your paper. Here you can see me placing the flower with that little arrow pointing up, and it fits exactly into those leaves. You just want to make sure you can see a tiny, tiny sliver of the leaves on that acrylic so that you know your flower will go from edge to edge of the leaf. I'm going to stamp my first poinsettia here using watermelon. Now I'm placing my second flower with that arrow pointing up onto the right side of the leaf base. I'm going to stamp this one using ballet slipper ink. To add a little bit more color to the center of my poinsettia, I'm stippling watermelon ink onto my stamp using a blending brush, and then I'm stamping. I'm going to do this several times to add a little pop of color to the center. Now it's time to make this flower arrangement as full as your heart desires by adding all of those little pieces like holly, the little branches, the little posies, the sparkles, and more. Now let's take a look at the 3 cards I created using this bundle. My first card is a 1-layer card created by stamping only. I stamped the center leaves onto the center of a piece of A2 cardstock in Evergreen without the vase, then my poinsettia flowers in Brickyard to fit into the leaves. I stamped the flower centers in honeycomb, then added leaf branches in pistachio, holly in rainforest and cranberry, and berries in pimento. I added the Noel sentiment in pimento, then finished off with a few sparkles in honeycomb and gold sequins. This one feels very lovely and vintage to me. My second card shows how you can step it up with layers by using the winter bouquet dies. I stamped the center leaves in rainforest on an A2 piece of white cardstock, then added leaves in eucalyptus and berries in carnation. I die cut this panel using an oval die from last year's Nutcracker bundle and layered it with another oval cut from silver metallic cardstock. Next, I stamped the flowers in ballet slipper, adding carnation to the center, and the vase and tide pool, adding Merry Christmas in rainforest. I also stamped the solid leaves in juniper and die cut all of these images. I layered my oval centerpiece onto the card front, created with a piece of tide pool cardstock topped with a white quilted card front panel. Then I adhered the vase and the flowers using 1mm foam adhesive. I finished off the card by tucking the juniper leaves into the arrangement and adding silver sequins. My final card shows how you can combine the pretty poinsettia flowers with other products in your stash. Here I stamped flowers in Brickyard, watermelon, and ballet slipper, and the centers with honeycomb before cutting them out with the coordinating dies. I also stamped the small branches in pistachio and die cut them out, as well as the larger leaves, die cutting them straight from avocado cardstock and then stamping the veins. I arranged all of this in a diagonal line onto my sea glass card front, which I cut using the lattice corner cut die for extra interest. The large Season's Greetings sentiment from this month's Season's Greetings stamp set was stamped in rainforest, and I finished off the card with a few dewdrops. There is so much you can do with the Winter Bouquet bundle, and we can't wait to see what cards you come up with. Make yourself and all of your Christmas card recipients extra jolly this year with the Jolly St. Nick stamp set, stencil pack, and dies. This bundle was created for Scrapbook and Cards Today's Let's Stamp Together kit, and now Concord and Ninth is adding it to their shop. This bundle creates a fun and whimsical Santa, which you can use in several different ways, including a shaped card. The stamp set includes several sentiments, one to fit on a banner die, and the others that can be stamped onto Santa's beard or in a fun speech bubble die cut. Let's take a look at the dies. This oversized Santa is perfect for creating a shaped card or a large tag, and you can use the coordinating stencil set to add details for his face and hat. We have a long banner and a speech bubble to stamp our sentiments onto, or we can use the simple word joy, which includes the letters and a shadow die. Finally, we have 3 accent dies that coordinate with the stamp, a large and small leaf grouping, and a berry bunch. Now let's check out that amazing stencil set. The 4-part stencil adds color to the background behind Santa, and the next stencil adds candy cane stripes to the background of your card front. Then you have 2 other stencils that add color to Santa's hat and his face. Let me show you how to stencil your Santa, and you can choose 2 different ways to start. First, we are going to begin with a Santa-shaped panel using the Santa die. Note that you will need a piece of white cardstock slightly larger than A2 size to die cut the Santa die. Stencil 1 begins by coloring in Santa's face and ears, and Concord and Ninth has great neutrals for giving Santa the skin tone of your choice. Here I am using Nectar. I like to line up this first layer by looking at the ears. Lining up the curved ears on the stencil with the curved ears on the die cut is a sure way to get everything else lined up. Just remember that you'll have about 1/16 of an inch between the edge of your blend and the edge of the die cut. Once you have colored in the face and ears, move on to Stencil 2 to color the hat and rosy cheeks. For this stencil, line up the curves of the hat on the stencil with the curves on the die cut. And be sure to mask off the tiny piece at the end of the hat that is exposed on the right so that you don't get red ink there. For Santa's rosy cheeks, I used a light blend of pink lemonade and then poppy for Santa's hat. This already looks so cute, but let's add a few more details. Stencil 3 will add a shadow under Santa's hat and the curves of his nose, and you line up the curve of the shadow with the curve of Santa's forehead that you blended with Stencil 1. Choose the same color that you used for Santa's face, just using a darker blend, or the next step up of that hue, but blend very lightly. Here I am using a very light blend of wheat. And look at the dimension that adds to his face. Stencil 4, our final stencil for his face, will add the eyes and the mustache. To line up this stamp, the start of the mustache will line up in the center directly under Santa's nose. I used a dark blend of cobblestone for the eyes and a very light blend for the mustache. Use the large amount of negative space on the beard to add a sentiment, or cut this Santa down to place onto your card front. I'll show you examples in just a minute. To start with a standard A2 white card panel, place the stencil labeled Santa Head Mask onto the paper, lining up the registration lines at the top, bottom, and right side at the edges of the cardstock. Choose any holiday color to fill in the background around your Santa. Here I am using sea glass and blending darker around the Santa mask, going lighter as I make my way out to the edges of the cardstock. Pull off the stencil when you have achieved the desired amount of color and you have your Santa outline. From here, you'll follow the exact steps I showed before for the shaped Santa card to blend his face and hat, starting with stencil number 1. Now let me show you a few merry cards that I created with this Jolly Saint Nick bundle. First, I made a 1-layer shaped card by using the Santa die to cut out an A2 size folded card base. I used the same steps that I shared to color in his face and hat and stamped Santa Claus is Coming to Town from the Jolly Saint Nick stamp set to complete this card. The next two are the same card but show a difference in skin tone, making this a great set to customize. On the left I used wheat and on the right nectar. Here I created shaped Santas that I topped on a sea glass background repeatedly stamped with ho ho ho, then added the "You've always been on the nice list" sentiment stamped onto the arch banner, plus a little embellishment grouping of leaves and berries. The fourth card shows how fun it is to cut off Santa's beard so that he pokes up from the bottom of your card front. This also leaves room to add the fun speech bubble with ho 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 stamped onto it. I used that striped background here to ink blend the stripes, fading them out from the outside to the center of the card, and added a bit of sparkle to the brim and pom-pom on Santa's hat. Now my final card shows that you don't have to use Santa at all. Here I used the diagonal stripe stencil in two different directions to create my plaid background in a light blend of evergreen, then added joy die cut in pink lemonade, evergreen, poppy, and sea glass to the front of the card, accenting with leaves and berries as well as gold enamel dots. Creating with the Jolly St. Nick bundle brought so much happy holiday nostalgia to me, and I know you will enjoy creating Christmas cards with it too. Thanks for joining us today for this special look at the brand new September 2025 holiday release from Concord and 9th. All of the products shown in this video are now available for purchase at concordand9th.com, and we know that you will create gorgeous holiday cards and projects with them. We can't wait to see them, friends. Happy creating!